everyone, and welcome to episode 143 of the Giddy Knits podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland. Today is, oh God, I don't actually know. What is today? Today is Wednesday, the 29th of May. We are nearly at the end of the month, and as always, this is my crafting podcast where I chat about all the projects I've been working on and things like that. So hello, welcome to my regular viewers. Lovely to have you back, and hello to anyone that is new. If you are new and you don't know kind of who I am, as I said, I am Helen and I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, which is an online hand-dyed yarn business. All of this behind me is stock yarn and not my stash. Welcome back to another episode. First off, you have to tell me in the comments how nice my hair is looking, because I've just come straight from the hairdressers. So I have freshly cut, freshly trimmed, and she even put a little bit of a wave in it for me today, which was very nice. So yeah, I'm feeling podcast ready because of that. But let's just get into it, shall we? What have I got for you this week? So we'll start off, as always, with just a quick announcement section. I have got a finished object again this episode. I've then got my what's in the basket section, which is the projects that I'm currently actively working on. I have got a little bit of a bingo challenge update. So we're going to have a little chat about that. I've got a little bit of Yarny Goodness to share, and then I will finish off, as always, with just a little bit of shop news to kind of let you know what's coming in the shop in the next few weeks. That kind of thing, basically. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Announcements. First of all, thank you to everyone who entered the Wool Monty giveaway on the last episode. I did draw a winner after the episode had been up for a week, and I contacted them directly. Flick was our lovely winner, so congratulations, Flick, and I look forward to seeing you at the show. Oh, that reminds me, I need to email the Wool Monty organisers and let them know that you've won the tickets, because I've not done that yet. So I will get that done, don't you worry. Yeah, thank you to everyone that entered. We have got a few Makealongs running on the channel at the moment. So we have the Giddy Yarns Makealong, which is my year-long Makealong, and basically any project that you knit using at least 50% of my yarn, so 50% of Giddy Yarns, you can enter to be with a chance of winning a prize. I draw prizes quarterly. I draw 2 winners quarterly. You can enter in Discord and in our Ravelry group. And details about all the Makealongs are underneath the video. So yeah, you can find the details there. Details about the Makealongs are also available where you can enter. So on Discord there are threads, and at the top of those threads are the details, and the same in Ravelry. There are threads in the Ravelry group, and at the top of those threads you can see all of the rules and the details and stuff like that. So that is the Giddy Yarns Makealong. We also have another year-long Makealong, which is our bingo crafting challenge. So we have our bingo grids with 9 kind of challenges, and we're trying to tick those off as we go through the year. Now, at the end of June, so halfway through the challenge, I am going to do an official change up your grid if you want to. I know a few people have changed a few things on their grid already, and that's fine. As I said, there's no strict rules with this one. But at the end of June, so halfway through the Makealong, I am going to do an official kind of, if there's anything you want to change on your grid, now is the time kind of moment, because there are a couple of things that I think I might want to change on my grid. So yeah, we're gonna have that. And then our final Makealong is our Spring Shawl-a-thon, which I am co-hosting along with Fran of the Franny Do Makes podcast. And that is basically any shawl you would like to knit. You needed to cast it on after the 1st of April. That's what I'm trying to say. You needed to cast it on after the 1st of April. And we're running the Makealong up until the end of June. But you don't need to finish your project. You just need to chatter in the entry threads, basically, which for me is on Discord and in the Ravelry group. So just come and chatter, share your progress, tell us what you're making. Every chatter thread, every chatter entry basically is going to count as a entry. and there are prizes. Fran has had a whole host of Yarny prizes donated, which is amazing. As always, I have been completely disorganised and still haven't worked out what prizes are going to be, but it's not like I don't have a whole host of Yarny possibilities to pick prizes from. So there will definitely be some prizes for me. If there are any makers out there who would like to donate prizes, then by all means, that would be amazing. I always love a good prize donation. Just get in touch and I can pop you on my address and you can get it shipped to me and then I'll ship it on, or however you'd like to do it, because that'd be great. Right, shall we move on? Shall we move on to some actual knitting content? And as I said, my show notes are just over here. That's why I'm looking slightly off to the side. I've got a finished object, another finished object. That makes 2 finished objects for May. Although, unfortunately, they were both small finished objects. I finished another pair of socks. So I'm just going to pop this. Shall I pop both of them? I'll pop both of them on sock blockers. I'm just going to pop them on the sock blockers. I finished, for the last episode, I had finished my, what I keep calling in my head, my week 1 Chromatic Yarns socks. I purchased the Chromatic Yarns weekly advent calendar last year, and I cast on both weeks 1 and 2. I've caked up the other ones, but I haven't finished them yet. And I finished one of those pairs of socks last time. I haven't finished the second pair. I don't know. It sounds like I'm about to say I finished the second week, but no, I haven't. But I have finished my Christmas Eve cast on socks. So these are these are a variation on the Evergreen socks, which is a pattern by Madeline Gannon. If the lighting has just changed colour slightly, that is because I just realised as I was trying to show you these that it was on the wrong setting on my phone, so the focus was going to be a little bit of a nightmare. So I've just changed that, but it may have changed the white balance as well, so we will see. Anyway, what was I saying? Madeline Gannon. This is a variation on the Evergreen socks by Madeline Gannon. So the official pattern has this Christmas tree motif 4 times around the leg of the sock. But I decided I would just do it once on each leg. So they're on opposite sides. So there'll be the outside of your leg kind of thing. There's a left sock and a right sock, basically, with the little Christmas tree motif on them. And then the rest of the sock was just a plain vanilla sock, which made them nice and quick and easy to kind of finish off. I'm really pleased with how they came out. I absolutely love this yarn. So the yarn I used was by Knit Me Sane. Having just said I've changed my settings so that the focus will work better, it's now not going to, is it? This is the setting that focuses on my face more, which in theory should focus on... There we go, that'll do. Focus is always a nightmare in cameras. So the yarn is by Knit Me Sane, and it is called Pine Needles and Tinsel, I believe. And yeah, it is a sparkle. If you can see that, I think that's coming across in the light. It is a lovely sparkle yarn. The sock, the heel, words are failing me again. The contrast colour that I used for the heels and toes was actually just a random mini skein that I happened to have in kind of a box of random mini skeins in terms of shop yarn. I think I dyed them up for, I think it's the contrast that goes with Jeremy Fisher, one of my Beatrix Potter colourways. But I happened to have a spare sparkle one and it goes perfectly. It couldn't have been more perfect for this colourway if it had been dyed destined to go with it. But yeah, there we go. That is one finished pair of socks. So that's good. That goes towards my box of socks. And I feel like I've actually got a few things off the needles, which has been good. I've enjoyed picking socks up again. I've not knit socks a lot this year, not compared to previous years, but it's been quite nice this week. I think because my Vertices Unite was at a slightly more complicated stage, so I couldn't read while I was knitting on that. And my sleeves. What am I knitting with sleeves? My So Faded sweater. The sleeves were at a point where I was needing to do decreases like every 3 rows. So again, that was a little bit complicated and I couldn't really read and knit at the same time. So it's been nice to kind of reach for something like a simple vanilla sock where I can read and knit, which is why these have ended up making lots of progress, really. So yeah, and that's a finished object, just the one. But I do have a few different things in the basket this week. So if we move on to what's in the basket, I do have a few different things because I picked up a couple of projects that I haven't picked up for a while, and I've made progress on the other projects that I've got to share with you. So I cast on a new sample, which you will actually see the colours of later on, but I have got a Wind in the Willows collection launching possibly, I think the 7th of June I'm hoping to launch it. So I'm going to be taking the colours with me to Wool Monty, and then I'm going to launch the pre-orders online the Friday night before the Wool Monty, basically. But this is one of the colours for the collection. This is the Wildwood, and I've just started a little sock sample, which hopefully, even if I don't get this finished for Wool Monty, it can be what I knit on during the show. That's kind of my plan. So yeah, that is that one. Just a simple vanilla sock, nothing complicated. It'll have the contrast for the heel and toes, which is what this colour is. And then that's the caked up skein of it. I'll show you it in the skein in shop news at the end. But yeah, just a simple little sample sock on the go. I do tend to do my sample socks differently to socks for me. So my sample socks don't tend to fit me. I have an idea that at some point I'm going to get a big like box frame kind of thing to go on the wall at the studio, and I'm just going to fill it with all of the sample socks. Alternatively, my other idea is to get a giant pin board and pin all of the sample socks onto the pin board as like a kind of decoration kind of thing. Because for a sample sock, I often get a single sock made because I don't need a whole pair, and the likelihood of them fitting me perfectly if somebody else has knit them is minimal, and I tend to do a strange number of stitches. I tend to do 68 stitches for my feet, whereas I like to have a sample that's kind of a more standard 64 stitch sock. So yeah, it's a single sock and it won't fit me, but I have plans, I have ideas for what I think I might do with all of the sample socks, especially as I no longer need those colourways as regular samples. I think the pinboard idea might be a little bit better because I could still pop them off when I did want them for samples and things like that. But I don't know, I like the idea of doing something as a kind of display with the sample socks going forward. Do you have any ideas? Let me know. So that is project number 1. Let's pop that there. Then the big project that again has seen quite a lot of work on is of course my Vertices Unite, which is my project for entry into our shawl-a-thon. And I'm doing really well with it. Like, I feel like I might actually manage to finish it by the end of June, which for me is incredible. It currently doesn't have any yarn attached to it because I've just finished the 4th section. So here we go. This is how it's looking. It's getting a bit big to show you. So we started off with this pink and turquoise section, which was section 1, and then section 2 was this purple striped section over here. Then section 3 was this massive section in the middle. I absolutely adored this yarn. It's beautiful. This one is just on its own. I knew I wanted this yarn to be kind of on its own so that it could really show itself off. And I'm so glad I made that decision because it does, it works perfectly. Our progress pasty, there's our progress pasty, shows you where I was the last time I showed you this. So I'd finished off the whole of section 3, and then I know it's only a small section, but I also knit the whole of section 4, which is the lovely purple. It's the same purple that's featured in this beginning section, but on its own. So yeah, that's that one. The next section is a striped section, and it stripes together the pink that's in this stripe and the kind of paler colour, not the purple, that's in this stripe. And then the final section is, I can't remember. Oh, it's the turquoise. The final section is in the turquoise. But they're relatively small sections now. I think the next section goes here between these two colours. And then the final section goes on the end. And they're not big. Like these two sections are the biggest sections, definitely. And the final two sections are not that massive. So I'm coming along with it. Actually, I'm wondering if I've got the schematic. I have. So here's the schematic, if you can see that. So I finished sections 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we're moving on to sections 5 and 6 here. So in terms of the scheme of the whole shawl, I am relatively close to being done. There is an I-cord border, which will take me a little while, but that's fine. That's fine. It's all good. But progress is definitely being made. If you're new and you haven't seen this endlessly for the last nearly 2 months, I am knitting, did I say it's the Vertices Unite? It's the Vertices Unite by Stephen West, which is a brilliant modular pattern, and I'd recommend it to anyone. This is my second time knitting it. And I'm using, all the yarns I'm using are by Spectrum Fibres. They're a mix of last year's Yarn Club from Spectrum Fibres and some other Spectrum Fibre colourways that I just happen to have in stash. And I am absolutely in love with this project. It is my favourite thing that I have knit so far this year, I think. I just want to work on it all the time. And I think tonight I'm going to sit down and pick up the stitches for the next section and get working on that section. I timed it perfectly the other night. Like I finished section 4 just as like the programme we were watching ended, and we both looked at the clock and were like, oh right, it's time for bed. And I was like, oh, that's perfect, because I've just finished the section. I don't need to debate whether or not I want to start the next section or not. It was one of those perfectly timed moments. Anyway, more projects. What else have I got? So I have, what have I got? Cross stitch. I actually picked my cross stitch up this weekend, which is something that I haven't done in a fair while actually. But I was just feeling it. I felt like I wanted something a bit different. So I picked up my cross stitch. What I've forgotten. I'm like, does it tell me anywhere what this one was? I can't remember what it was called. I think it's just called Winter Wonderland. So it's a Christmas themed one. It's one of the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Mystery Knit-alongs, but as always, I am well behind on it, and this one's been fully revealed. So there's no worries about spoilers or anything like that. But this is where I am at with the Winter Wonderland. I think the last time I shared this with you, the Christmas tree was done. We had one tree, maybe this tree, and this one person, I think. But I've added 2 more trees, I've added a couple more people, I've finished all the white on this side, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish all the white on this side, and then I can slowly kind of add in the blue, because the blue is the tedious bit. The entirety of this kind of ice rink, I guess, round the tree, this seals up as well. The entirety of this kind of ice rink is filled with the blue. But I think the easiest thing to do is going to be to finish off that white stitching, so that basically I know then that everything within that boundary is blue, so I don't need to kind of count my stitches, check what I'm doing as much. I'll just be able to kind of sit and stitch and fill it all in. But I have been filling some of it in as I've been going along. So yeah, progress is coming along. And then I can start on some of the other bits. The rest of it, I think, will go a lot quicker. This is definitely the biggest section of a single colour, is the blue in this bit. Everything else is like smaller houses that are all kind of multiple colours, and like little scenes and lots of little smaller bits and pieces. So I think that will go a lot quicker, whereas this is kind of the bigger bit of the bit more of a slog, I guess. I don't think I'll have it done by Christmas this year, but I'm enjoying working on it, and I'm glad I picked it up again, because I kind of want to pick it up again a bit more regularly, and it's been a while since I've picked up my cross stitch, which is a shame, because I'd really got into it and I'd been really enjoying it. So I need to keep that motivation up and keep picking it up again. Right, we have one more project to share. And that is also a pair of socks. And that is the week 2 socks from the Chromatic Yarns weekly advent calendar from last year. So these are the other ones that I had cast on. And these ones I'm actually doing a patterned sock. So let's see. This is the pattern that I'm doing, and this is the colourway. I love this colourway. I'm so enjoying working with this colourway. It's really, really pretty. I popped my little jelly bear, what are they called? Gummy bear. I popped my little gummy bear progress keeper where I was the last time. Well, I don't know, to be completely honest, because it's been such a while since I showed you these. I don't know whether this is where I was the last time I shared these with you, or just it's the last time I picked them up. I popped the little progress keeper in the last time I picked them up. So there's not been masses of progress, but these are the next lot of socks that I'm going to work on. Now, the pattern I'm using is the Twinkle Totes pattern. It's one of the Winwick Mum patterns. I'm pretty sure it's a free one. It's one of the ones that's written for West Yorkshire Spinners sock patterns. I am adapting it slightly, as I often do with pattern socks, partly because I use 68 stitches, so patterns are often written for 64 or 72. Although I do believe that this one is actually written for, I'm just going to double check now actually, sizes. Oh, it's done by foot circumference, I think. So there is a 68 stitch option in here. The pattern is actually written with 60 stitches, 64, 68 and 72. I can't for the life of me remember whether I am doing it officially or if I have just adapted it. I've probably just adapted it. I think I've just adapted it because I keep hearing a door go and I keep thinking it's somebody coming in my front door. It's not, it's probably just somebody on another unit near me. But it's throwing me. Like I keep waiting to see somebody in the glass of the door, but there's no one there. My interior door is locked, so nobody can just walk in. But yeah, what was I trying to say? Twinkle Toe socks by Winwick Mum. I am adapting them because I only wanted to do the pattern down the leg. Oh my goodness, that doesn't make sense. I only wanted to do the pattern down the front of the leg. So that's basically what I'm doing. So the back is just plain stocking stitch. I've got my little bulb stitch markers there to mark. I tend to mark every 10 rows so that I don't have to keep counting how many rows I've knit in the leg, basically. So I am nearly at 40 rows, I think. I tend to do about 60 for the leg of a sock, but the pattern is gorgeous. It's a cabled pattern, but it's a relatively simple cabled pattern. Let's see if I can get that to focus there, because you're only ever doing like 1 by 1 cables, either left or right. So it's really, really nice and easy. Nice and simple, but it's really effective. It's a 5-row repeat, so it's not a massively long, complicated repeat either. So I would recommend the pattern. I'm really enjoying these. Again, I probably won't do the heel that's in the pattern and I won't do the toe that's in the pattern. I'll just use my regular heel and toe because that's what I tend to do. But it's nice sometimes to be able to do that, to be able to just take an actual design and adapt it to fit your sock that you prefer. But as I said, the yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It's such a pretty colourway. I think this is actually one of my favourite colourways from the 4 that were in the weekly advent. This one is called Modify Memory. It's a really nice yarn. It's going to be interesting to see how it holds up because it is an 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. So it's 10% less nylon than I would usually use in a pair of socks. But I do find that my socks don't tend to wear out. I don't think I've ever had to darn a pair of socks. And I wear them a lot. Like I'm constantly wearing hand knit socks. I do tend to wear slippers at home. So I'm not usually wearing them with nothing to protect them from the ground because I do tend to wear slippers, but I'm not overly careful with them. They go in the washing machine. Like I'm not precious about them, and I wear them a lot. Like I'll wear them in hiking boots, I'll wear them in all of my shoes, but I'm quite fortunate that they don't seem to tend to wear out. So I'm hoping that the fact that I'm not overly hard on my socks will mean that the 85-15 should be okay for me. But anyway, they're going to be super pretty. And I'm excited to kind of pick them up and try and keep working on them a little bit more regularly. I am planning on casting on another pair of vanilla socks as well. I picked out some yarn the other day while I was recording a Patreon video. We did a little Patreon stash tour where I went through kind of all my stash and the new kind of setup that I've got in the old office and things like that. And I picked out some yarn for a couple of projects. So I did pick out a ball of yarn for some vanilla socks during that, which I've not yet cast on, but I am planning to get cast on soon because I would like a little bit more vanilla knitting so that I've got something to knit on while I'm reading. So you will probably see that on the next episode, I would imagine, because hopefully I will have got it cast on by then. But yeah, that's all the knitting really. I've done a tiny bit on my sew faded, and I've actually made the decision to stop the decreases halfway through the decreases because I was finding them very tedious. And I know from my previous sew faded that the arms were quite tight, and I've got quite large upper arms. Like in terms of like when you look at the sizing for the bust sizing that I've gone for, the upper arm sizing is too small for me anyway, basically. So I'm going to stop the decreases early. I've done 8 rounds of decreases instead of 16 rounds of decreases. And then I think when I get closer to wanting to put the cuff in, I will just check kind of the size of how it's feeling at the cuff. And I might put in some decreases before the cuff just to kind of cinch it in a little bit if it needs it. But I did find with my last sew faded that the sleeves are quite snug. So I've definitely got some leeway to not do as many decreases. So hopefully that will mean now that I will be quicker on it because it is just round and round and round, which hopefully will speed things up rather than having to keep counting rows and check where I'm doing decreases and all of that kind of thing. Okay, so we are going to move on to a little chat about my bingo crafting challenge and how I'm doing with my bingo board, and a little update of like my in versus out and stuff for April, if that makes sense. So, that's what I did. Right, I shall snuggle this way a little bit, I think, and pop my bingo board up right there. Right, sorry, I got a bit distracted because as I picked my phone up to look at my bingo board, because what I was going to say was I will pop my bingo board up right there, and then I've got it up on my phone so that I can actually see it for once, because otherwise I get myself very confused. But I got distracted because I'd had a message from the amazing lady who runs the art class that my youngest Jasper goes to say that she's going to be running some full day camps during the holiday, and to let her know if we would like to book spaces. And it is actually up until 11 years old, so I could maybe book both of my boys in for a couple of those during the summer holidays, which would be handy because they are going to get very bored at the studio. Anyway, bingo crafting challenge. This is my bingo board. So my challenges this year were more yarn out than in. Now, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. Looking at where I am at the moment, the likelihood of this being accurate, like the likelihood of me having more yarn out than in is not going to happen. But as I said, when I set this one up for myself, the aim of this was to encourage me to finish more things rather than to stop me buying more yarn. Like I wanted it to be motivation for me to finish things. I also wanted to just track it because I thought that was quite interesting to kind of look at the amount out versus the amount in and things like that. So I'm going to count this as a completed square if by the end of the year I have tracked, and again, as I said, at the end of June, I'm going to let you change a few of these bits and pieces. And I think this will be one of my squares that I edit slightly. And rather than, I'm not going to get rid of it, but what I'm going to change it to is track my in versus out yarn, basically. Because I think that's fine. That's kind of what I wanted to do with it. And I wanted it to encourage me to finish more things. So I'm happy with that. Finish a blanket. I do have my Cozy Memories blanket that I just need to get that I-cord border finished on. So if I can just sit down and actually sit down and get on with it a bit more often, which I haven't been doing because I haven't been reaching for it, then hopefully this one will be finished by the end of the year. Finish 2 garments. I am well, we're not even halfway through the year. We've got another month yet before we're halfway through the year, and I am very close to finishing my So Faded sweater. So hopefully, maybe by the end of June, I'm not sure, but we'll see. I have got yarn caked up and set aside, which was originally meant to be for a Lento sweater, but I'm actually now wondering if I might use it for a love note instead. Because the neckline of the Lento, I'm not 100% sure that I will enjoy that, wearing it even. Whereas I have a love note, which I knit in DK, which I really, really do like. And I've taken to wearing a lot more now underneath dungarees and things like that. And I feel like another love note, but actually using 4-ply and fluff held together as it's intended, would be a really nice addition to kind of my knitted garments. And the colour I've picked out is not up here, I don't think, because I've packed it for Wool Monty. No, is Don't Leave the Path, which is one of my Lord of the Rings colourways, or is it a Hobbit colourway? I think it might be a Hobbit colourway. And it's kind of like it's a very heavily speckled dark green with a little bit of navy in there. And I'm holding it together with a dark green fluff. So I think that would make a really nice love note that would be really, really wearable. So I'm hoping that I can get that one started and finished by the end of the year, because love notes are quite a loose gauge, so it should be quite relatively quick. It's also going to be cropped, so yeah, shouldn't be too bad. I haven't decided on sleeve length yet. My other one has got short sleeves, and I quite enjoy that because I quite often will wear a long sleeve t-shirt underneath it. Gives me a bit of options. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see how we get on. Finish a 6-month plus whip. I did that one. That is the one that has been ticked off. That was my Mild Magic shawl. I finished that off. That had been on the needles for over 6 months. Knit 6 or 12 pairs of socks. We're currently sitting at 4 pairs completed for the year. Now, as I said with this goal, I would like to knit 12. That would be like my dream goal, but if I knit 6 pairs, I'll be happy to kind of mark this square off as complete. Complete the Grimblewood gnomes. Now, I have not started another one of the Grimblewood gnomes yet, so I kind of need to crack on with that if they're going to stay on there. Yeah, I need to make a decision and I need to crack on with it if they're going to stay on there. Keep up with a simple knitting journal. Now, that is something that I have done, and once we've gone through all of these, I was going to share a little bit with my knitting journals because I've actually started a new one, and I want to share that. Complete an Advent project. I need to start one to complete one, don't I? So I did finish my, what was it called? Soundwaves cowl. I did finish my Soundwaves cowl, which was an Advent project, but I had decided at the beginning of the year that that one was an Advent project that was already too close to finishing to count towards this goal. So really I needed to cast on a new Advent project. I do have a couple of ideas. There's a couple of patterns that I'd really like to cast on. I've been looking at the Euphorbia wrap, which is a pattern by Amber O'Brien, and it is a DK weight or fingering weight held double, and I'm very tempted to knit that with my Advent from Fiberfox from a couple of years ago, the Enchanted Forest Advent. I think that would look gorgeous in that pattern, and actually I feel like that would knit up relatively quickly because it's mostly a garter stitch shawl with a couple of little decreases, a bit of shaping here and there, and fingering weight held double, it should be pretty quick to knit up. But I also really, really, really want to knit something with my Mermaid Advent from Castleview Yarns from a couple of years ago as well, because that one was absolutely stunning. And I really want something knit in it because it's gorgeous. So yeah, I need to have a little think. I need to have a little decision. I haven't quite decided what pattern to do with that either. So yeah, I think we need to have, and maybe it'll be a summer holidays thing once the kids aren't at school. And stuff like that. Not that I'll have much more knitting time, but I always feel like I have more knitting time because I don't have the whole school run thing happening. I'll still be working and managing children at the same time, but somehow, I don't know, it feels like I have more knitting time. So maybe that'll be a summer holidays project. I don't know. And then my final square, which is one that is definitely going to be changing, was to design a sock pattern. And that is something that I'm just not I've just not had the headspace for it. I've just not got any ideas. I've not got the headspace for it. So that is a square that will be changing. I haven't decided what's going to fill its space. I need to have a little think about that. I obviously don't want to put in something that's going to be ridiculously easy and I've already achieved, because I think that for me that feels like cheating. So I want something that I'm still going to have to work towards, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that is my grid, my bingo board, but I thought I would quickly chat about my knitting journals and what I'm keeping, because and also kind of my in versus out, because that will come up in it as well. But as I said, I started a new knitting journal. So I have my current normal knitting journal, which you've seen, which I was keeping very, very simple with tracking my in versus out. So for March, no, let's show you April's, because I changed April slightly. So for April, for example, if it will focus, I've got a column for amount of yarn coming in, a column for amount of yarn going out. Then I work out kind of my total in, total out. I think that was wrong. Total out, total in, like the in versus out for April and my current in versus out in total. And then I have another little section with like things that I finished that I can make a note of. So May, I have done May. I know it's not the end of May. It's the 29th. We've still got a couple more days, but I don't anticipate finishing a project before the end of May, and I'm not expecting to receive any yarn before the end of May either. So I should be safe. But if I'm not, then I can always add it in. All of the pens I've used are erasable anyway. So this is May currently. So far in May, I had 600 grams come in, and that's partly because, so normally I would expect 200 grams a month, because that is the two clubs that I'm part of. The Green Lambkin Yarns Secret Treasure Box Club, which is 4 20-gram minis a month, and the Wildflower Yarns Myths and Legends Club, which is 120-gram sock set. So 200 grams of yarn, exactly what I'm expecting to kind of come in each month. But Erin and I are also swapping yarn clubs this year, and if you remember from the last episode, I got 400 grams of yarn because we hadn't seen each other properly really since the beginning of the year. So we got January, February, March and April in one big go. Hence that was 600 grams coming in total. Now, outwise, I finished 2 pairs of socks, which weighed approximately 70 grams each. So I had 140 grams go out in total, which is not masses, but compared to nothing going out in April is better than it was. So my total in versus out for May is that I am up 460 grams of yarn. But for the year, I am currently up 1,665 grams of yarn. So, yeah, a fair amount. But, you know, it's fine. I'm not getting stressed about it. The point of this is not to get stressed about the amount of yarn coming in, but it's to try and promote me actually finish things and knitting more things. And as I've said before, I have got some bigger projects. My Vertices Unite, for example, my So Faded sweater, my Cozy Memories blanket. They are bigger projects that when I finish those, they will be a good chunk, like a good 300 grams of yarn, maybe even 400 for some of them. A good chunk of yarn kind of coming out as well. So I'm just waiting for those projects to be finished, and then it will feel slightly better. So that's what I've been doing so far in terms of keeping a little knitting journal. Now, the other week, I sat down and recorded a video, again, another video for Patreon, which was me talking about all the shawls that I have knit over the years. I dug them all out and I went through them all. And as part of that, I'd picked up an ancient knitting journal that I used to keep with all of my projects written in there and everything like that. And it was so helpful to be able to look back through it and go, that's what that shawl was. Those were the colours that I used. And it re-inspired me to keep something a little bit like that again going forward. So I just grabbed a little notebook that I happened to have. I think this came from Sainsbury's, I'm not sure. Maybe it was from Asda, I can't remember. It was a supermarket notebook. But I picked that up, and what I've done is I've just put in all of my works in progress. So I've just written them in. As always, I've decorated with stickers because I do love a sticker. So I've just put them in. So we've got my Maymar cardigan, my toasted mallow hat, the colour of the month socks, which again, they're single socks that I'm knitting them in a size to fit Tom, but they are single socks. So eventually he'll get the ones that I haven't finished yet. I've got my crochet dragon in there, my find your own direction scarf, the week 2 December socks, the twinkle toe socks that you've just seen. And then when I finish something, I'm just going to highlight it like this. So these were my evergreen socks, the Christmas Eve socks that I've just showed as a finished object. So I can highlight and I can mark when I finished them. Because one of the other things that was really interesting was having a start date written in and like a finish date, because it was interesting to see how long certain projects had taken and things like that. I've got my So Faded sweater, my Snowdrift mittens, my Vertices Unite, and then I've got my cross stitches. So I've got the Winter Wonderland cross stitch, and I've got another cross stitch on the go, my Happily Ever After cross stitch as well. I've got blankets, my Mild Mayhem blanket, my Crochet Hexie blanket, my Cozy Memories blanket, my Corner to Corner blanket, my Colour Therapy blanket, my Advent 21 Henny Penny Makes blanket, my Fantasy blanket, my Treasure Box blanket, and my Rainbow blanket. Yeah. We'll ignore how many blankets there were just then, won't we? Oh, and then the last one is my Advent gnome as well. So I then put a little bit of washi tape across there because I was like, right, that is all of my whips that existed when I started this. And then from now on, whenever I start a new project, I'm just literally going to write it in. So the information I'm putting in is basically what I'm calling it, if I'm calling it anything different to the pattern, who the designer is, what yarn I'm using, if it has colorways, and then when I started it and when I finished it. Because that's all I kind of really need to know for the projects. But then I can mark off when I finish them and things like that. So I just think that'll be quite an interesting little journal to keep. I've actually found this year that in previous years, I've really struggled with journaling of any kind. I love stationery, I love stickers, and I love trying to keep like notebooks of things and stuff like that, but they have a tendency to kind of fall by the wayside and get forgotten about. But I've been keeping this knitting book up to date, no problem at all. And I've also been keeping a reading journal up to date with each month I write down like a TBR of like books that I want to get to this month and kind of my plans for what I want to read this month. And then I also have a page where I write down all the books that I finished. I give them like a star rating and I'm kind of looking at the number of pages in each book. So each month I will also at the end of the month tally up how many books I've read that month, how many pages, and then work out like the average pages per book, which I think is just an interesting thing to kind of work out basically. But anyway, and I've kept that up to date as well. So I think I'm finding it might be partly that I've now storing all of them in a better place. They've got a shelf. I've got one of those little rolling trolley thingies, you know, like the Hobbycraft ones. I've got one of those that sits next to my side of the sofa. The top of it has got some like knitting bits and pieces in. I've got a box of tissues in there and it's got like my notions pouch and my headphones and stuff. But then the middle bit of it has got all of my like journaling stuff. So my stickers are in there, all of these notebooks are in there, and things like that. And I think, because then I've also got a pencil case there as well with like the pens and pencils that I need to kind of keep those journals. And I think because they're right there next to my side of the sofa, I'm reaching for them much more, so I'm keeping them a lot more up to date. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. And I think it'll be interesting to just keep a little bit more track of things that I finish and things like that. So yeah, I rambled about that for ages, but I know there's a number of you out there who keep knitting journals or other types of journals who will find it interesting to kind of see what I'm doing. And I am finding I'm really keeping up with it this year. And I'd like it to be something that I continue doing going forward. So hopefully this one will stick and hopefully I will keep up with it. We will see how we're going. But you know, 5 months so far, and I've not kind of it's not all fallen by the wayside yet. So that's quite promising. What's next? Yarny Goodness. I have one little bit of Yarny Goodness, which is this month's Wildflower Yarn Club, which arrived. Can't open the bag. Right, there we go. So this month was it the Dragons one? Let's just check the thing. Yes, April is Dragons. So each month you get a little postcard with the inspiration image, which is really cool. I'm keeping these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they're all really, really pretty and I really like them. So eventually I'm going to do something with them. So yeah, so that is this month's dragons. It's got a proper like Mother of Dragons, Game of Thrones kind of feel to it, that image, I think. And then you also get a couple of other little bits and pieces. So you also get a sticker, which I really like, a sticker of the characters. As I said, I love stickers, so I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm getting a little sticker of the characters each month. And then always a couple of little stitch markers as well. And this month they are dragon's eggs. I'll try and get those so that you can see them properly. Come on, camera. Oh, stop moving. I'll let me focus, but now the stitch markers have moved. There we go. So they're like little dragon's eggs. Really, really pretty. So that's those ones. And the yarn. You want to see the yarn? I love the yarn this month. This really is my colours. And I could definitely see this becoming a really fun pair of pattern socks. It's not anything like it at all, but it's got a bit of a similarity to the colourway I'm using for Twinkle Toes, but only in the way that it's like pinks and purples. But I love this bright hot pink mini for the contrast, and it's a really gorgeous tonal kind of pinks and almost purples in there as well. It's super pretty. That is going to make a lovely pair of socks, definitely. Such a pretty colourway. So yeah, that is, as I said, the Wildflower Yarns Myth and Magic. I called it Myths and Legends. It's not, it's Myths and Magic yarn club, which I'm really enjoying. I really like picking a yarn club each year and kind of getting it for the year and sort of seeing what comes. Occasionally there's colours that aren't my favourite, you know, that aren't my colours and things like that. But that's just one of those things you accept and embrace when you buy a yarn club. And either I will make something for somebody else out of those colours, or they will get put into something else where the colours don't matter so much, or I might end up destashing them, you know, that it's fine. I accept that when I sign up to a mystery club because you kind of have to. But yeah, so far this is one of my favourites. That's it for Yarny Goodness, because I didn't have a lot. I didn't have masses came in this week, which is good. But I do have a little bit of shop news I want to share. There's nothing drastic. Oh no, I was going to share the Wind in the Willows. Right, first things first, Advents. Advents will be closing on, well, the 31st of May, which I think is the day that this video will go live. The 31st of May is the last day that Advents will be available to pre-order. I might be putting the weekly Advents up again briefly in August, just as like a final chance, but they won't have payment plan options with it in August. Clubs, the next instalment of the clubs is opening on the 1st of June. That is the January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, that's the final instalment of quarter 2. So if you ordered quarter 2, you're fine. But June is Death as our inspiration for the Discworld Club. And we are moving into the darker, more foresty greens for the Rainbow Mini Club. I have finished, I'm just in the process of putting month 4 into my Rainbow Mini Club, and I'm really enjoying it. I've got May's already dyed up. That's my job tomorrow, is packing all the clubs to go out on Friday. And I'm excited to get those added in as well. I'm really enjoying the progression of the rainbow now that we're starting to get into more of my favourite colours. I'll admit, reds, oranges and yellows are not my favourite colours. They had to be there because it's a rainbow. But I'm excited that now we're starting to move into some of the greens, and then we'll be moving into the teals and the blues and the turquoises, and I'm excited. So that, yeah, clubs will be open from the 1st of June, probably until the 10th of June. I'll probably close them, well actually I'll probably close them the morning of the 11th, maybe even the morning of the 12th. Because I'm at the, usually they would be, the 8th would be the last day, but I'm at the Woolmonty show the 8th and 9th of June, travelling back on the 10th. I've got a day off on the 11th because my parents are going to be here, so I won't be back to work until the 12th. So I'll probably leave them open and just shut them on the 12th, to be honest, because that's just the easier way of doing it. Wool Monty, as I said, I will be vending at the Wool Monty on the 8th and 9th in June. So if you are coming to the show, please come and say hello. Come and introduce yourself. Come and say hello. It would be lovely, lovely to meet you. The last time I vended at Wool Monty, it was a podcast heavy show. It was funny. My friend Jem was vending as well. She's the little grey girl, and she took the mickey out of me all weekend because there were so many people that came up, and it's one of the shows where the most people ever had come up to me and said, "Oh, I watch your podcast." So she took the mickey out of me endlessly. But it was really nice to meet so many people who watch the podcast. So if you're coming to the Wool Monty, then not only let me know in the comments underneath the video, because that's always nice, but also come and say hi. Come and introduce yourself and come and say hi, because I love that. I love getting to meet you. Right. Post-show update, that's the other thing. 14th of June, which is the end of the week after Wool Monty, is when I'm hoping to do my post-show update. I'm thinking it's a good time of month. I'm not too chaotic. I won't be pushing to dye the clubs that week and things like that. So I think I will get back to work on the Wednesday. As I unpack everything, I'll take photos of whatever I need to. And then I've got kind of Thursday and Friday to get the listings done. And we will just have the post-show update on that Friday all ready to go. So if you can't make it to Wool Monty and you see anything that I'm taking with me and you'd like to get it ordered, then the 14th of June will be when I do that kind of post-show update. That will also include all of the spare Peter Pan colourways. I've got a whole host that I'm taking to Wool Monty with me, but I've also got more that are spare, including the minis, the Lost Boys minis and stuff like that. But I'm just going to leave it and update it all after Wool Monty. Right. And then the final thing, which I wanted to talk to you about and I wanted to share, is the Wind in the Willows collection. I teased this on social media a little while back. I teased it on social media with this collection is coming soon. But I am finally ready to share the colours. Now, Patreons will have seen this already because my Patreons have had a Wind in the Willows vlog that I recorded throughout this month. So they have seen the dyeing process, my kind of choosing colours, the fact that I had to re-dye some colourways because I wasn't happy with them, and the final project. So they've had a little bit of a sneak peek. I will just plug my Patreon slightly because I've mentioned it 3 times with 3 different vlogs that have been, in fact, all of those vlogs have been vlogs that I recorded in May. So my Patreon is like a bonus footage, a bonus thing, basically. If you're interested in joining, it is approximately £4 a month. And for that, you get 3 vlogs, for 3 extra videos a month. They vary depending on what's happening. So we did have a vlog of the Isle of Mull when we went on a family holiday to the Isle of Mull. But this month we have had a video about all the shawls that I've knit. We've had a video about the creation of the Wind in the Willows collection. And we've also had a video of kind of going through my stash, picking out some colours, showing you the new setup now that I've moved kind of now that my stash is in a different place, basically, because of the office and studio move. So you get 3 vlogs a month. I also run a monthly Discord knit and natter, which is like a Zoom knit and natter. It's a video knit and natter, where we sit and chat and knit and talk about our projects and talk about all kinds of things. So that's part of it as well. What else do you get? I do a monthly giveaway each month, so you're in with a chance of winning a prize. We also have a bi-monthly book club as part of that as well, so you can kind of come and join our book club and read along and chat and talk about books, because you all know how much I love books as much as I love knitting. And I'm trying to remember whether there's anything else. There's 3 vlogs a month. Oh, you get early access. You get 24-hour early access to any of the videos that go up on YouTube. So you get 24-hour early access to the podcast. Yeah, and things like that, basically. So I feel personally that for £4 a month, you actually get a fair amount extra. It's kind of similar to when I used to have a Ko-fi account and people could just buy me a coffee as a method of support. But this way, you're buying me a cup of tea, because I don't drink coffee. You're buying me a cup of tea and you're getting lots for it. Does that make sense? But anyway, but also, as I've said the whole time, the podcast will always stay free on YouTube. Absolutely free on YouTube for everyone to access. The same with my Vlogmas series. Oh, pardon me, losing my voice. The same with my Vlogmas series throughout December. That will always stay free and on YouTube. The Patreon is just if you want a little bit extra, basically. Right, shall we move on then? Because you've not seen them yet. Shall we move on to the Wind in the Willows colourways? There are 6 colourways in the Wind in the Willows collection. So I'm just going to grab them and share them with you. I still am not 100% sure on a couple of the names. So you might have to kind of wait until I've revealed them on social media for me to tell you the actual final names for one of the colourways, I think. I'm still not quite 100% sure. But we have, first off, we have Wind in the Willows, which is this one here. I am offering them as sock sets as well. You can order them as 100-gram skeins without the contrast mini, but I'll just show you the coordinating contrast mini at the same time. So this one is Wind in the Willows, which is a lovely kind of yellowy green combination. And I've paired it with this kind of sage green mini, which at first thought is like, it doesn't quite go, but I really like the contrast. I think it's a really nice combination. So that is Wind in the Willows. Then we have, sticking with the green theme to start with, we've also got Wildwood, which is the one that you've already seen caked up and in process of knitting. So this one is Wildwood. Lovely, heavily speckled with lots of kind of dark greens, but also some brighter greens in there as well. And it's paired with this lovely kind of deep teal mini. And then we have the last greeny colour, because it was hard to dye this collection and not have lots of green. So the last kind of green colour is Messing About in Boats, which is this one here, which is a lovely combination of blues with a bit of green, some purples and oranges in there as well. So that one is Messing About in Boats. I will hopefully have samples of a lot of these to share on social media whilst the pre-order is live. I'm hoping people might manage to get them to me before Wool Monty, so I'll be able to have them at the Wool Monty and hopefully maybe share photographs, but we will see. I fully appreciate that I have left it last minute to beg my sample knitters to knit me samples, so there is every possibility that they might not quite manage to make the deadline, which is fine. That's my fault. But we will see how we get on. This one is one of the ones that I'm still not 100% sure on the name. The chapter, I love the name of the chapter, so I think we're kind of going for that. It's called The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And it is this, I love this colourway so much. Like, it is basically meant to be a sunset reflected in the river. So you've got yellows and oranges and pinks and purples of the sunset with the blue of the river. And then I've paired it with this like palish yellow mini to bring out those kind of sun's rays in the reflection. So that one is The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Then we have got Mr. Badger, because we can't not have Mr. Badger. This is Mr. Badger. He is blacks, well, kind of dark greys more than blacks, with pops of purple, burgundy, and also some little pops of blue in there. I will be sharing photographs on social media of all of the inspiration photos. So you'll be able to kind of see where I've taken the colours from, particularly with Mr. Badger. The book version that I've got, which is a Fortnum and Mason's, pardon me again, I really need to drink more tea, which is a Fortnum and Mason's edition. Sounds super fancy, but it really wasn't that expensive. It's a Fortnum and Mason's edition. It was a hardback with illustrations. The illustrations are gorgeous, and in the illustration of Mr. Badger, he is wearing a gorgeous kind of brocade dressing gown, I guess, almost, with purples, burgundies and blues in it, which is lovely. And I've paired it with this burgundy mini. This is one of my favourites from the collection. And then the final colourway is this one here, which is, Inspired by Mr. Toad's motor car. This is the one I haven't quite decided on a name for. By all means, pop your comments, pop your name suggestions down in the comments. But it is inspired specifically by the red motor car. And this is it. So it is a tonal kind of burgundy red with pops of kind of brighter reds. It's on the pink side of red. And I've paired it with this kind of reddish mini, which again, I keep not being able to know what colour it is, but it picks out those redder pops in this skein really, really nicely. So this one is the one inspired by Mr. Toad's motor car, but I don't quite have a name for this one yet. So yeah, that is the whole collection as a whole. They will all be available to pre-order from the 7th of January on my website. I think the pre-order will be up for basically a week, so probably until about the 14th. It'll be up to for the Monday, whatever the Monday is after that week, because there's no point in taking it down over the weekend because I'm not going to be ordering yarn or doing any work. So they'll be up until probably, oh well, the details will be in the listing, probably until the 16th maybe? 17th, I think I'll take the listing down, something like that. And my aim is to have the pre-orders all shipped before the 8th of July because we're going away for a week. So hopefully I will be able to get them all done and dyed and shipped before the 8th of July. That might sound a lot, but I have dyed up quite a bit to take to Woolmonty, and that will all go towards kind of the pre-order numbers as well. So I will take out, like, it will halve some of the dyeing. There'll definitely be some that I need to dye and bases that I've not dyed up and things like that. But it will mean that it kind of reduces the amount I need to dye for the pre-order because I'll already have a little bit of kind of back stock for it, I guess. But yeah, they will be available as sock sets, as 100-gram skeins across all my bases, and mini bundles. I haven't got the mini bundles to show you because they're still drying on the airers at the moment, but I will have mini bundles, 10 grams and 20-gram mini bundles with all 6 colourways in as well. And yeah, that's the new collection. I'm really excited about it. It's been such a fun collection to dye up. I'm really, really happy with the final 6 colours and how they all work together. Like, I love the way that Mr. Badger works with Toad's motor car. I also feel like the riverbank works really well with Wild Woods, but it also works quite well with Wind in the Willows. And in fact, these 3 actually work really nicely together as well. And even like pairing these ones together because they've got the blues in there, and like even pairing like I don't know, they all just work really, really, really nicely together, which I think is always something that's lovely to be able to do with a collection. Anyway, I have rambled for ages. I have stopped and started the camera so many times. I've got no idea how long this episode's going to be. I don't know what time it is. Oh, it's only 2 o'clock. That's not too bad. I have time. Yeah, so I think I am going to stop there. I am going to stop talking. I am going to stop rambling. But as always, thank you so, so, so much for watching. And if you haven't commented already with telling me how nice my hair looks, or telling me a name for my Mr. Toad's motor car colourway, or whatever else it is that I may have suggested that you comment on, then just drop me an emoji underneath and we will go for an emoji that makes you think of Wind in the Willows. So give me nature emojis, give me toads and toads and badgers and anything that makes you think of Wind in the Willows in the comments down below, and I will see you all again very soon. I suspect the next podcast will be after Woolmonty. Hopefully I will get one done the week after Woolmonty. That would be really nice to kind of, yeah, get it done then, keep on track roughly for that 2 weeks in that case. But yeah, thank you very, very much for watching. I look forward to seeing all your emojis. They always make me smile, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.